Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing some Eldlich Krawler Maneater Bug test hands. So I am really excited for this one because it's actually a Patreon request from Izzy. So Izzy actually asked me to make this deck for his 1 year for being a patron. So this deck is absolutely nuts. And I really quickly want to say thank you to Izzy for being a patron for a year. It means a lot and it really helps out the channel. And I am really excited to show you this one off because it's like the embodiment of all of the decks that Izzy has requested throughout the year. It uses stuff like Eldlich Krawlers, it uses Maneater Bugs, summons trap monsters. This deck does it all, and I am really excited to show this off. It's actually a 60 card build, which I rarely do 60 card builds, but there was so much I wanted to put in this deck. I just went ahead with a 60 card deck, and it works crazy good. So without further ado, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can come part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards like getting your name description in a single video, getting a signed card in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron, along with test hands. And definitely give Izzy some love down in the comments down below. And thank you so much, Izzy, for being a patron for a year. It really means a lot. And thank you so much for requesting this deck, because this deck was awesome to build. I had a lot of fun actually building this deck. Being able to play the Golden Gucci Lord himself and playing Crawlers in the same deck, it just feels really nice. I'm going to go ahead and jump into pile shuffling this deck because this deck is a 60 card deck, so it is a lot to pile shuffle right off the bat. We're going to go ahead and see what we can do for some test hands for this, because this deck is just so fun to play. It's really big to be able to play with because it's just, like I said, it's 60 cards, but you're never going to have a really bad hand. You're always going to have something to summon. Sometimes you'll go into your Golden Lord, sometimes you'll just go for the Crawler plays. It kind of just depends on what you have, but this deck can grind out a game. Like, this deck can go in for the long run, which is what's really cool about the way this deck is built. It's just super good. You can go into link plays, you can go into like plays with like your Crawlers, you can go into Eldlich monsters. Like, this deck is just so good. So let's go ahead and see what we can do. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle up the deck, and let's see what we can get into. So we're going to go ahead and draw into a copy of Mind Meld, copy of Eldlich, the Golden Lord, a copy of Cursed Eldland, another Cursed Eldland, and a Pot of Extravagance, which we're immediately going to activate that copy of Pot of Extravagance, shuffle up that extra deck. We're going to go ahead and pile shuffle that extra deck just to make sure that we don't hit anything. We're just going to do that one time for this video because we're probably not going to have a problem after this, because once you pile shuffle it one time, it's probably going to be mixed up enough. But let's go ahead and see what we hit. Hopefully we don't hit anything like all 3 of our Dragoons or all 3 of our Crawlers. That would be terrible. So let's go ahead and see what we get. So we're going to go ahead, and we're not even going to hit a single copy of Dragoons or double Anaconda. So we're already off to a very good start. I believe that's an extra deck monster. Yeah, okay. So let's see. We got all 6 right there. Yeah, that's fine. So we're going to go ahead and use the copy of Extravagance to draw 2 right off the bat. And we're going to get both of the Golden Lands trap monsters, which is fine. That's not even a big deal because we have the copy of the Cursed Eldland. So we're going to go ahead and use Cursed Eldland. Cursed Eldland lets you pay 800 to add an Eldlich monster or a Golden Lands spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is going to help us out a lot just to be able to grab a Golden Land spell or trap. It's just going to help out a lot because you already have the Golden Land, this Golden Land monster, and then you also have the Golden Lord as well. So basically you have a lot of plays right off the bat to go into with this card, and it's just like, this card is just so good in this deck and other decks, because basically, if you guys are unfamiliar with this card, you probably know what this card does, but basically you send this card to the graveyard and a spell and trap from your hand to the grave, then target a card, or then you get to target a card on the field and send it to the graveyard. And if this card is in your graveyard, you can send one of their spell or trap you control to the grave, add it back to your hand, and then you get to special summon this card, basically, or zombie, but it's always going to be this card from your hand. If you do until the end phase, this card gains 1,000 attack, or the monster gains 1,000 attack, and it cannot be destroyed by card effects. This card is just such a good boss monster for this deck. So we're going to go ahead and use the Cursed Eldland, pay the 800, and it's going to let us add a Golden Land card from our deck to our hand, which is just really good just to be able to add those Golden Lands from our deck to our hand. To be able to add something like a copy of the Conquistador is going to be really nice, or add the copy of the Golden Lands Forever is going to help us out a lot too, just to get that card into our hand. It's kind of up to you which one you grab. I would probably grab the Conquistador because the Conquistador is going to give us more plays, because it's going to be able to banish something, and it's going to give us a monster on the field to go into like a Pleiades later later on if we want to. I think I banished the Pleiades. I'm not sure. I need to double check. Did I banish the Pleiades? I think I did. Yeah, I banished the Pleiades, so it's no big deal. But you can still add this card from deck to hand, and also the effect of the Golden Lands Forever is you can only use each of the following effects of this card once per turn. But the really cool thing is if this card is sent to the graveyard, you get an effect off. So we're going to go ahead and use the copy of the Golden Lord, send it to the graveyard since we're going first. If we're going second, I target an opponent's monster, but since we're going first, we're going to send the Cursed Eldland to the graveyard. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, then you get to send an Eldlich monster or a Golden Land spell or trap from your deck to the graveyard. So I'm going to immediately send him to the graveyard and send the copy of the Cursed Eldland to the graveyard, and then I'm going to send from my deck to the graveyard a Golden Lands monster, which is going to, or Golden Lands spell or trap, which is going to be my copy of my Conquistador, which is going to help me out a lot in the long run of things because those cards can actually banish themselves from the graveyard to get you more plays. And you're trying to just get one monster on the field set up with all your other cards. So at this point, you sent one card to the graveyard. You have your copies of your Golden Land monsters, which also share abilities that during the end phase, you can banish them to set an Eldlich spell or trap directly from your deck, which is pretty good. And both of them basically share that effect that you can set an Eldlich spell or trap from your deck to your side of the field. You only use the effect of this card once per turn. So after this effect was going off, we can also use the copy of the Eldlich monster that if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can send a spell or trap you control to the graveyard to add this card back to your hand if you want to do that. So you can just go ahead and set these to your side of the field. That Mind Meld is going to help out more in the graveyard right now anyways. So we're just going to be able to send that copy of Mind Meld, bring this card back to our hand, and then immediately summon the Golden Lord to our side of the field in defense position, so they will go off. Now during end phase, you can then use your copy of both of your Golden Land monsters effects, because basically what they're going to do is during the end phase, you banish them to be able to set an Eldlich directly from your deck. So we're going to go ahead and banish them both during the end phase, and then grab out of the deck some Eldlichs, which is going to help us out a lot in going into more plays, because we're going to grab the copy of Scarlet and set Scarlet to our side of the field, and set the copy of the Eldlich Black Awakening as well, because you're just going to basically have a little bit of a different play going into your next turn. So basically, as you guys can see, you're basically just going in for Eldlich plays going first, which is totally fine, and keeping the copy of the Cursed Eldlands, the second one that we drew into in our hand. So when our opponent goes, you can summon out the copy of Conquistador, which is going to be able to use the effect that if you special summon this card, it's going to be able to destroy a face-up card on the field as long as you control the Eldlich the Golden Lord, which is really cool. And then you also have the copy of the other monster that's basically also going to give you the ability that you can banish a card from either player's graveyard, which is going to help you out a lot just to use both of these. You also have the copy of the Scarlet, which is going to be really good to be able to special summon a zombie monster from your deck or the graveyard, which can give you another copy of your Eldlich to your side of the field. Your Golden Gucci Lord, which is going to be really good just to be able to throw out another Golden Gucci Lord with your copy of your Scarlet on your side of the field. And then you also have set your copy of your Eldlich of the Black Awakening, which is pretty good as well. And you also have in graveyard the Mind Meld, which lets you banish this card from your graveyard to target a link monster on the field and special summon a crawler monster in your hand, deck, or graveyard to zone that monster points to that you can activate next turn. So when your opponent goes and they pass back to you, you're then going to draw in the deck, which we're going to shuffle up that deck really quick. And then you have the ability during end phase of the Eldlich Scarlet, which has the ability that you can banish this card from the graveyard, then set one Golden Land spell or trap directly from your deck. So we're going to use that card as well when we get to our turn. So we're going to go ahead and draw for turn, and we're going to draw into a Crawler monster. We're going to use that copy of the Eldlich in the graveyard to be able to banish this card from the graveyard to set one of your Golden Land spell or trap from your deck to your side of the field, which we're just going to immediately banish that card and grab our copy of our Golden Land Forever. I usually like to grab Golden Land Forever for this particular play because it's going to give me a counter trap to go in with. And then I'm going to shuffle up that deck really quick, activate the copy of our Cursed Eldland, pay the 800, and lets us grab a copy of a spell or trap that's a Golden Land as well, which is going to help us out a lot just to grab another Golden Land card to go in for additional plays. The other thing I did consider about throwing in this deck is a Gustav Max, I will say, to go in for more plays. I usually grab the Conquistador because Conquistador is just so good to be able to go into more Conquistadors, to be able to pop cards as long as you have the Golden Lord on your side of the field. And then you can use in the graveyard your copy of your Mind Meld, because the Mind Meld is just going to help you out a lot to be able to just banish it as well once you summon out your link monster. So we're going to go ahead and link these two together off our side of the field because you just want to get them out of the field and get them out of the way. To summon out your copy of your Anaconda right here, and then from here, basically you can just go into some really good plays, or you can even leave the Anaconda off the field to begin with, leave these guys on the field, and normal summon out your copy of your Crawler monster, which then your opponent's going to go, wait, what? And then you can link away these two monsters to summon out your copy of your Anaconda here, pay the 2,000 life points, and then send from your deck to the graveyard the Red Eyes Fusion and the copy of the Red Eyes and the Dark Magician. Now, there is a play that I would make before I go there, so I'm just going to add these cards to the top of the deck so I can go ahead and use them. So you're going to go ahead and just add these to the top and then dig into the deck, because we're forgetting about the copy of the Mind Meld. So we're going to go ahead and banish the copy of Mind Meld, target the Ling monster, and then we can special summon a Crawler monster from our deck to a zone it points to, which can be any of the Crawler monsters, which is pretty good because basically, as we stated before, this card is really good with the Eldlich card because it functions in the graveyard a lot better, because it has the ability that you banish this card from your graveyard to target a Ling monster on the field, special summon a Crawler monster in your hand, deck, or graveyard to a zone that monster points to in face down defense position. So you're basically just going to banish it and then grab any of the monsters, any of the Crawlers that you want from your deck. It totally doesn't matter which one you want. You can even grab the X Crawler as well, which is pretty cool to just grab that monster if you want to. I usually like to just grab Spine because it's going to give me additional pops on the field, which helps out a lot with a lot of different plays in this particular deck, just to get the Spine out on your side of the field. Now you can actually use the copy of your, Anaconda to use with your Dark Magician and your Red Eyes. Send those to the graveyard, and then now that you sent those to the graveyard, you throw out a copy of your Red Eyes Dark Dragoons. Now you can switch your Eldlich monster to attack position, and you have basically some link plays if you want to go into. If you didn't banish the Pleiades, you could actually overlay both of these into a Pleiades, which is pretty cool. But you can just basically set this, and you also have the copy of the Golden Lands Forever as well, which is pretty helpful. And you have the Scarlet Awake, or you have the Black Awakening as well. You don't want to usually use that one because it's going to lock you in a little bit, so you get this really good field going second. Now again, this deck would just keep going and going and going for more and more plays to grind out the game, which is what Izzy kind of wanted for this particular deck, to go into some really insane plays and then just keep going and going and going, and this deck can definitely do that. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for the next one. Let's make sure that we're not picking up any of our extra deck monsters. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we didn't in this particular deck. And let's go ahead and see what we can do for the next one. And I hope you're enjoying this one, Izzy. This deck is just absolutely wild. You play stuff like Mystic Mine in this deck that can just shut down. If you just draw into your Crawler monsters, it can go into some really good plays where you can just like summon out your copies of your Eldlich monsters. Like you can just Mystic Mine your opponent while the Crawler monster is set, where your opponent's going to have to deal with that Crawler monster first. There's just some really good plays, and you get to play the OG Maneater bug, which is just really cool. I really love the way that this deck functions. It's really interesting. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for the next one. Terraforming right off the bat, we might actually see that Mystic Mine, Krawler Drite, World Legacy and Shadow, a copy of the Eldlich the Golden Lord, and a Set Rotation. The Set Rotation is actually the best card that you can draw, so we can immediately activate that copy of Set Rotation and throw it against our opponent. We're going to actually throw out a copy of Mystic Mine on our side of the field, and then we're going to set that card, and then we're going to give our opponent that World Legacy and Shadow, and that's actually going to set on their side of the field, which is going to be pretty helpful to go into more plays. Or you can even, since the copy of the Mystic Mine goes off regardless, you can actually give your opponent that choice if they want to, because you can actually summon Dragoons in this hand. You'd activate the copy of Mystic Mine on their side of the field and set it on their side of the field, and you can actually take the copy of the World Legacy and Shadow. It's totally up to you for the particular play. So I'm going to go ahead and activate the copy of the World Legacy and Shadow, and I'm going to use the copy of the World Legacy and Shadow to be able to throw out a copy of Krawler Drite in attack position, because it actually lets me special summon a Crawler to my side of the field. You could keep the Mystic Mine if you want to. It's totally up to you, again, which one you give to your opponent for this particular instance. But since you only have one normal summon, it's not that big of a deal. So we're going to go ahead and use the copy of the Terraforming in our hand and grab out of the deck another field spell, which I would just grab another copy of Mystic Mind, so they know if they get rid of the first one, there's no hope. They're going to actually just get another one against them, which is hilarious. I love that. And then we're going to use the copy of the Eldlich the Golden Lord, which you can use its effect to be able to send this card to the graveyard to send a spell or trap from your hand to the grave, and then you get to target a card on the field and send that card to the grave, which can be the field spell that you just gave them. So we're going to go ahead and send this to the graveyard with our World Legacy and Shadow, send their card to the graveyard, and then you can actually use the copy of the Eldlich the Golden Lord, which set up itself on your side of the field, to pay the cost of this card to be able to send a spell or trap you control to the grave, to add it back to your hand, and then immediately special summon it. So we're going to add him back to hand, send the Mystic Mind that's set on the field to the graveyard, add him back to hand, special summon him, link him away for the copy of Drite, and then throw out the copy of the Anaconda and the Dragoons on our side of the field by sending the copy of our Dark Magician, our copy of our Red Eyes, and our copy of our Red Eyes Fusion to the graveyard, which is just going to be super helpful to go into all of those plays against our opponent. And then you can drop the Mystic Mind against your opponent as well. Now that's going to be the easiest play. You could play it a little bit more defensively by just setting the copy of Drite on your side of the field and throwing out the copy of Set Rotation and keeping the Mystic Mind on your field, and then basically flipping the Mystic Mind against them. I like to go for this play to actually throw out the Dragoons. You don't have a negate in hand, but it doesn't super matter. Yes, you are negating yourself, which is fine, but they're only going to get to play 2 monsters against you, and then they can't do anything else, and you're sitting on Dragoons, which is hilarious. So you go against your opponent, they can't do really all that much against you, and we're going to go ahead and draw for turn, which is a World Legacy Survivor, activate the copy of Survivor, and the Survivor is going to let you activate the top 5 off your deck, which we're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We didn't hit a Krawler, and you sent all these cards to the graveyard, which is fine because we actually sent a copy of the Scarlet to the graveyard, which can banish itself to be able to set 1 Golden Land spell or trap from our deck to our side of the field. So we're just going to immediately banish that card and set a copy of Conquistador to our side of the field, which is just helpful just to get it out of the deck so you don't draw into it. You can set Golden Lands forever, but it does help to just be able to just set that card on your side of the field as well. So we're going to go ahead and set that card, and then you pass, and then you keep waiting them out until they finally do something. If they get more monsters than you do, you can actually activate the copy of the Anaconda, because this will affect them and not you. And you can actually use the copy of Anaconda to be able to use a copy of Magicalized Fusion in your deck to summon out a second Dragoons. And if they do match the same amount of monsters against you, it's pretty good, because then the Mystic Mind will go to the graveyard during end phase. You can then Magicalize Fusion them and banish from your graveyard the Dark Magician and the Red Eyes from the grave, and then summon out a second copy of Dragoons, which is just hilarious to summon double Dragoons in an Eldlich deck against them. And you also have the Eldlich plays that you can go into later on in the game if they do out a double Anaconda, or an Anaconda and a double Dragoons. I really, really like that. That's really, really fun with a Mystic Mind. Like, this deck is just so, like, mean. Like, it's just really, really mean, and I like the way that it plays. It's just super fun. Like, playing the Eldlich and playing the Eldlich and the Crawlers, it just works so well because of Mind Meld working with the copies of the Golden Lord and sending it to the graveyard for his effect is just super good. And then being able to send a card on the field to the graveyard is just really good with your copy of Set Rotation. So you have all these really fun plays. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle up the deck and see what we can do for the next test hand. So let's go ahead and see what we can do. So we're going to draw into a copy of Mystic Mind. We're already fine. As long as we draw a monster that we can set, we're going to draw a copy of the Golden Lord. We're going to draw a copy of Drite, a copy of Red Eyes Fusion, and a copy of World Legacy and Shadow. Not a bad hand at all. You can basically, if you want to play a little bit more defensively, you can play a little bit more defensively with this hand. Just drop the copy of the Red Eyes Fusion. We do play it as a 3 of in this deck currently, which is hilarious to play it as a 3 of in this deck, because basically you're pretty much guaranteed you're going to draw it like a lot. Even though it's a 60 card deck, you're probably going to hit the cards that you need to get that copy of Dragoons out on your side of the field. So we're going to actually use that right there. Throw out the copy of Dragoons. And I will say, this is a deck I would totally carry to like a tournament. This deck would be hilarious in a tournament because everybody would be like, oh my god, he's Dragoons and he's Mystic Mind and he's playing Eldlich and Krawler and Maneater Buck. What is happening here? What is happening to me? Hello? We're going to go ahead and set this card on our side of the field. You don't have to Mystic Mine if you don't want to, but it kind of does add a little bit of, you know, you can activate it against your opponent and go, yeah, no, I have a Dragoons and a Mystic Mine up. Go ahead, summon 2 monsters, then this card can negate. It turns my Dragoons back on so I can be able to use its effect, and then I can use the copy of the Eldlich and my graveyard to be able to bring itself back to my field, which is just really, really good. That you can go into simple plays like this, and if you draw into your next turn, you're going to draw into another Shadow, and if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can actually use the copy of the Eldlich because they have more monsters than you do. It's very dependent on what the plays your opponent does against you, and the Dragoons can also pop if the Mystic Mine touches the graveyard as well. Usually what your opponent will do is just normal summon a monster and pass, because then it will get rid of this off the field. So when you go into your turn, you can actually use the Eldlich monster against your opponent and send a monster they control to the graveyard, or spell or trap they control to the graveyard, just to be a good spot removal with this card, and it just helps out a lot. Then you can activate the copy of the World Legacy in Shadow if you'd like to activate this card to special summon an insect monster in your hand and face down or face down defense. And also, if they destroy the copy of Drite, it's going to go off as well. So you can actually just set the copy of Drite if you want to, and then send this to the graveyard, or normal summon the copy of Drite, send this card to the graveyard, add the Eldlich back to hand, and then special summon him, because basically you're just getting him back onto your side of the field to be able to just grab a monster, and then you can attack with him at 3,500, or you can even go into really hilarious plays and link these 2 away, summon out the Anaconda, pay the 2,000, and then send a copy from the deck to the graveyard of the Magical Eyes Fusion to go into another Dragoons if you want to go that play as well, which is really, really, really funny to get double Dragoons out. Or you can just go into the regular play of sending those cards to the graveyard. And see, we're already going into more copies of the Red Eyes Dark Dragoons as well, because we have more copies of Red Eyes Fusion. So you were going to draw into it regardless of what you did. So we're going to use the Magical Eyes Fusion, use these, pay the 2,000. We haven't even paid 2,000 yet. Summon out the copy of the second Red Eyes Dark Dragoons, and then you have double Dragoons, and your opponent has to deal with double Dragoons all over again. So let's see what we can do for one last test hand, see what we can pull off for this deck, because as you guys can see, the deck is super consistent. You're getting into some really insane plays, and this deck can literally grind for, like, you know, 30 plus turns if you need to. If you want to go into like some really quick OTKs, you can. This deck is so versatile. It's so good. You don't even need hand traps in this deck because you play all the crawler monsters and they just don't care against your opponent. They kind of fulfill some of the points of the hand traps anyways, with being able to, like, get rid of monsters, pop spells and traps, and they do stuff like that to deal with cards. So we're going to draw into a copy of Receptor, Drite, Eldlich, Golden Lord, or Golden Land, a copy of Magical Eyes Fusion, and a Red Eyes Black Dragon. I bet you that's a Dark Magician on top. It's not a Dark Magician. So we're going to go ahead and use the copy of the Cursed Eldland, pay the 800, and I'm going to go ahead and right off the bat, I would definitely probably grab our Eldlich Golden Lord. Golden Lord's going to help us out a lot to be able to just add that card directly from hand, and then you can set a copy of, actually, as a matter of fact, if you don't grab him and you grab a copy of your Conquistador, you can actually go into some really hilarious plays in this particular deck. So we're going to grab Conquistador from the deck instead of the Eldlich monster, and we're going to set the copy of Drite. We're actually going to just set the copy of Drite, and at that point, we're going to pass against our opponent. And once we pass against the opponent, when our opponent attacks into this card, it's actually going to let us send a monster from our deck to the graveyard, which can be our copy of our Eldlich the Golden Lord, which is really good for this particular deck, just to immediately send that card to the graveyard and be able to get it directly in the grave to go in for more plays, because it kind of searches it a little bit, which is kind of neat. So when we go into our next turn, we're going to go ahead and draw into a Red Eyes Fusion. We've already got, like, you got so many plays here that you can go into. I would probably just use the copy of the Cursed Eldland on my side of the field, pay the 800, and then grab out another copy of Conquistador, or grab out of the deck a copy of the other Eldlich monster, trap monster, which is just going to be really good to just grab that card. He's right on the top. Flipping through a 60 card deck and he's on the top. Go ahead and grab him if you want to. You have multiple plays here. You can actually just use the copy of Red Eyes Fusion, or you can bring back your copy of your Golden Lord. It's kind of up to you which way you go. I would probably just immediately Red Eyes Fusion my opponent and go for the Dragoons right off the bat, because Dragoons is probably going to be your best bet to go into in this particular situation. You have more versatile plays that you can go in for if you want to. It's kind of up to you, especially with the Magical Eyes Fusion going in next turn. But you have a lot of versatility with the copy of the Dragoons that you can go in for. And the copy of the Cursed Eldland is going to get you a lot of plays as well. And then basically now you have both of these monsters set that you can activate them during your opponent's turn if you want to, or hold them. I like to hold them until I get a Golden Lord on my side of the field, or if you need a quick Pleiades, you can make it if you need it. So that's pretty much it for this one, guys. I hope you did enjoy it, Izzy. I hope it's everything you wanted it to be, because this deck was a blast to make. If you guys want to check out the deck profile down in the description below, it is right down there. This deck is really insane in what it can do. It can summon out, like I said, Dragoons. You can go into the Eldlich, the Golden Lord. You can go into Crawlers. You can go Maneater Bug. You can go into all sorts of really good plays. I mean, just a really cool play in this particular deck is to draw World Legacy and Shadow, a Maneater Bug, and any Crawler monster is just really insane, because you can just basically do a play like this, showing you guys really quick. You can just grab World Legacy and Shadow, any Crawler monster, and a Maneater Bug in this particular deck. If you draw any 3 of these in your hand, as long as you have like a combo of these, you just activate it, special summon the Crawler, normal summon this, link for the Anaconda, send this to the graveyard, summon a Dragoon. So you have all those really just insanely hilarious plays in this deck that just work really well. And this deck is really good too. I mean, how could it not be with the Eldlich cards and, you know, the Dragoons and Mystic Mine, Crawlers? Like, it's just such a good mix. So anyways, guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Again, send Izzy some love down in the comments down below. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell there so you can come part of our notification squad. And we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys. And thank you so much, Izzy, for an entire year. See you later, guys.